on this computer. Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Talk With, my podcasty type show, as I put it in the last episode, a scientific term, if you will. I'm here with the one, the only, Eamon Longmann. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Eamon Longmann, or as we call me over here, Eamon Longmann, but I don't really care. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say really.
Yeah, well, it's good to finally have you on the show. It's been,
Thank you
in
for having me.
yeah, and how are you today? How are you today?
Um, well, seeing as I've only been awake properly for about 45 minutes, good.
Yeah, considering the time zone difference, because you're is it 24 hours behind me? It's like
No, I'm exactly 12 hours ahead of you.
yeah, yeah. Sorry,
So
I
it's
always get mixed
nine,
up with time zones.
it's 11 past 9
Mm.
a.m. on the 26th currently where I am.
Ah, nice, nice. But yeah, so naturally, you have a fan doctor as well. That's something
Yes.
quite common on this show that with some of the guests that I've brought on is that quite a lot of them are fan doctors because there's such a variety of fan doctors, and of course yours is the Kiwi doctor. Without
Yes.
spoiling what's to come for your doctor, how would you kind of introduce them to kind of uh new people who haven't heard of him? Yeah, obviously.
So Kiwi is um I kind of wanted to do a more grounded take.
Hmm.
So of course it's still like the whole, time traveling kind of TARDIS aspect to it all, but he's very grounded in a sense of like grief and loss, and that's kind of the story we're taking with him. Um so throughout his era he's going to go through a kind of story kind of thing of
Yeah.
learning how to deal with grief and all of that. So he's very kind of grounded in that kind of sense, I think.
Hmm. Yeah,
Overall.
I completely understand. I mean, grief is such an integral part of the show. It's always nice to see fan creators kind of bring it to the forefront and kind of, revolve Doctor's stories around that. I think whether it's an official Doctor or a fan Doctor, I think it can make for some ingenious, just human yet alien stories at the same time. And I think,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. And like I was saying to my flatmate, I don't think I can write a single happy character.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean either to be honest. I mean, I've written a few happy characters, but all of my original fan characters have always been quite sad. But
Writing happy characters is
yeah. I mean, you cut out. Oh, my internet connection is unstable, but it's back now. Uh, yeah. Another question I want to ask you about is basically mainly something that happened today. It's completely unrelated, but it's Shooty's costume reveal. If you, I don't know if you've seen it on Instagram.
is that the turtleneck thing?
Yes, the turtleneck
Yes.
thing. People think that's the
I
next
I don't
costume.
think that's his costume. I think
Well,
they would have done something much bigger for the costume.
mm,
I think that could be aspects of the costume. I certainly do think he could be wearing the turtleneck.
yeah,
I like the turtleneck look. Um, but if that is the costume, I don't think it's done yet.
yeah. I think a nice cape would be nice. The Doctor needs to wear a
Oh,
cape again.
oh
I
yeah, a
honestly,
cape. I love a long coat.
me too. Long
Yeah,
coats are just the best. I wear them all the time. I've got a whole
yeah,
wardrobe there full of long coats and nothing else. But
yeah. Half of my wardrobe is long coats.
yeah, I mean, but yeah, I don't think it's all dependent on where they take the character. Maybe they'll
Yeah,
subvert expectations and give us a really kind of different Doctor than we're expecting. Um,
yeah,
but I quite like the turtleneck. I quite like the shoes that they've chosen. It does feel very designer. It feels very I think a lot of people pointed out that most doctors get their clothes from like charity shops and such and rubbishing
yeah.
through
He might
bins and
he might raid a
hospitals.
top-notch
Mm,
clothing store.
now that would be funny. I'd enjoy that. But yeah, I quite like it. I think but it does need a bit more vibrance. It needs a bit more
Yeah,
because I feel like it should reflect Shooty's character in a way. And
yeah,
I definitely think it needs, yeah, it needs more color, more just vibrance, more, Yeah, and that's my thoughts on that. But that was just something I wanted to discuss as that's been shown
Yeah.
today. And of course, that picture
Yeah,
with
no, I did
Russell
wake
and
up to
Chewie.
that and I thought, oh,
Mm.
I like the pants. I think the pants look really cool.
Yeah, yeah, the pants look so cool. I mean, it all looks very cool. It's just dependent on whether it reflects upon Shooty and where he's taking the character. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of Doctor's costume should always reflect upon that. I mean, how did you come up with your Doctor's costume?
Um, so originally, so the Kiwi's costume's gone through heaps of different variants.
Mm,
Even if you look on the Instagram that I kind of announce things everything on, we did a costume reveal last year or the year
mm,
before that was like a blue blazer kind of look, and now all of a sudden we've kind of shifted to the kind of long brown coat. Um, I always knew I wanted to have the kind of shirt with the the like the little um kind of little area of buttons. The kind of I call it the Nathan Drake shirt. Um,
mm,
I always wanted to have that. Um, and then I think I was out shopping with my mum earlier in the year. Um, because it'd been my birthday a couple months before, and
yeah.
so she was like, "I'll go out and I'll get you a coat." And we were going out and we were looking specifically for what coats could suit the Doctor, and then we found that the brown coat that's only been seen, I think, on the Kiwi and Blonde cover
Mm,
that I posted. But it will be the main coat he wears over everything now. And yeah, we just thought that the color, we just really liked the color and the way it bounced off everything. So then, yeah. But
yeah.
then there was also like a coat I was looking at one point that had kind of patterned flowers all over it.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's kind of gone through heaps of different
All the
kind
best
of
costumes do, really.
stages.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it is a really nice costume. I really like how you've put it all together. It's really just come out
yeah.
well. And
Thank you.
of course, talking of Kiwi and Blonde, of course, a good segue,
Yes.
because of course your Doctor kind of teams up with the Blonde Doctor, uh,
Yeah.
and of course that's kind of cut ties with where he was originally from. What kind of made you think that they were compatible? Because of course the Blonde Doctor is very mental health based, and from what you've told me about
Yeah.
your Doctor, also very mental health and grief based. Was that
Yeah.
kind of a general census while coming up with the
Yeah, I
idea?
think that's where it started off with for me and George was we were talking one day, I think, and we were just joking around about how, seeing as both of our doctors were depressed, we should go to therapy. And
Mm,
then we just kind of went from there, that the two of them, you know, probably would have this kind of friendship. And so we've
mm.
kind of built it up to the point where we have heaps of volumes planned.
Yeah, I
There's
know.
a lot of Kiwi and Blonde coming.
Yeah, you've told me about most of them, and
Yeah.
trust me, for everyone watching, it's going to be brilliant. You've got a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
brilliant ideas.
Every now and again, George and I will just send something to each other. And we're really bad at saying no. So we just send something and we're both like, yes, we do that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really look forward to seeing your Doctor and George's Doctor's chemistry together. I feel like, and it can really create a unique arc where they kind of benefit each other and help each other through stuff and through mental health issues. And I had a discussion with George on here. He was the third episode. I think it was the third episode of this, and we discussed how important mental health is, especially in
Yeah.
Doctor Who. Um, and I just wondered if you had any comments on that because I believe it is one of it's very important. I think fan content can be, or just content in general, can be such a great way of spreading awareness in a way.
Yeah. Um, yeah, like as you said, spreading awareness is always really important. I grew up and my mum is a clinical psychologist.
Mm,
So I've always kind of grown up around the kind of mental health area. Um, so I always think it's very really important to talk about, and especially in kind of this day and age, everyone's kind of got something, and
mm,
we're not, you know, and I think it's really, I think it's really important to show kind of male characters going through that kind of stuff as well,
yeah,
because a lot of the time you don't see men going through kind of mental health. And so I think what's really important with Kiwi is that I wanted to kind of show that, and I
Yeah,
show different aspects that I don't think are brought up enough with everyone. Because it's so like one of his companions is non-binary, one of them is what later character I've planned further down the pipeline is all like anxiety based, and so it's
mm,
all things I didn't think were getting enough attention
yeah.
that needed to get attention.
I mean, that's definitely brilliant ideas and brilliant ways of crafting storylines that not only create brilliant storylines, but also spread awareness about things. And with such a character as the Doctor, to put him through mental health issues and to give him a very human arc in a way, because it's very human. We all go
Yeah,
for it, as you've said. To give that character such a powerful and inspiring character, to get him to go through, to get them to go through very human level tragedy, can lead to the most interesting stories and can leave an impact that teaches people. And I think making it an arc as well, especially because a lot of stories, I was discussing with George, but a lot of stories like the resolution just tidies it up straight away. I think
yeah,
with arcs and fan content and any content really, stuff like this needs to be an arc. It needs to be integral to the character just as much as anything else's.
yeah,
I know when I was coming up with Techno, my Doctor, it's very much grief centered as well, very human as well, because I came up with the character after losing my dad. So I kind
yeah,
of injected a lot of that into what's to come for Techno. And I think it's very admirable to kind of in your respects and George's when discussing with you two, I think it's brilliant how you guys inject mental health and representation into your works. I think it's
yeah.
absolutely fantastic. I think it,
Thank you.
yeah, and I look forward to seeing more of Kiwi. And yeah,
Yeah.
on a lighter note, going back to the 60th, because I've had my mind on the 60th for a while now. And I don't really ask about it often with people who come on, so I thought I'd bring it up now. But what do you want from the 60th? What's your kind of expectations? And
Matt Smith. Um,
good answer.
no, something different. I think we've had a lot of just you know the doctors show up,
Mm,
either the Master, the Daleks, or the Cybermen are there, and then they kind of leave. Um, so I like the kind of look at it that we're kind of getting at the moment. I love David Tennant. I love David.
mm,
He's the doctor I grew up with. Him and Catherine are who I grew up on. So it's been really cool to see them back on set.
mm.
Um, How I Met Your Mother is like one of my favorite shows. So Neil Patrick Harris is like
Same
a
here.
no brainer.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing whatever Russell does with it. I think
Mm.
Russell is an incredible writer,
Oh
and
yeah,
I think he's such a great creative mind that whatever he does for the 60th is going to be really unique. Um, and there's only so many times you can do the same multi-doctor kind of story
yeah.
before
And I
it
think
starts to become a bit.
yeah, I think multi-doctor stories are brilliant. They're still brilliant. I feel like you could do a lot with them. I think just setting up different dynamics, and of course, um you could have like doctors that don't work together. I don't see that as often as doctors that do work together, because you have like the Matt Smith and David Tennant. Well, what about how about the Fourth Doctor and the War Doctor? Or doctors that
Yeah,
you wouldn't imagine being as compatible as others? Because I feel like that's
yeah,
the recent Big Finish out of time range. Uh
yeah,
you wouldn't imagine the Sixth Doctor and Tenth Doctor being that compatible. Although I could have to a degree, because of course both of them are kind of known for their egos, etc. Uh
yeah.
but what doctors would you kind of want to see together if they did do a multi-doctor story? Like,
um I want eight in any
mm,
kind of way. I want eight back. I think eight and 11 would be a cool dynamic. And that's purely just biased that I want the two of them back.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I'd anyone. I'd love to see David and Peter,
Yeah.
Capaldi in it,
Mm. Mm.
bounce off each other. I'd love to see Matt and like Tom Baker.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'd love to see Paul and Jodie. I just, throw them together, see what
Mm.
happens.
I suppose the ones that I'd kind of want, don't know what I'd want. I feel like the third Doctor and seventh Doctor, of course, if John Pertwee's still around, but
Oh yeah,
due to reasons. But the third Doctor and the seventh Doctor, I feel like that pairing that would really work because I saw a post the other day saying that there should have been a multi-Doctor story in season 26, with the third Doctor and seventh Doctor, and I felt like
yeah.
that could work.
That
But
could have worked. Yeah.
in the context of the 60th, I'd obviously really love Paul back. I'd love Colin. I just really want Colin back
Oh yeah,
one day. Just bring me more Colin,
yeah,
even more of him, if you will. I'd like Colin Tennant, obviously Colin Tennant. Tennant's already confirmed to be in the 60th. I'd like Matt. Matt would be great. Because I feel like recently his Doctor's gotten a lot. Wouldn't say hate because I don't know,
yeah,
but recently he's been kind of overcrowded by other doctors. I don't know. It's probably
yeah.
because he's not back for Big Finish, and of course Capaldi's more recent, in a way. I'm not sure why exactly, but I just feel like he's being a lot overshadowed, and I feel like he gave an incredible performance during all three of his
Oh yeah,
series.
Matt was incredible. I'd love to see. I was talking with Connor about it actually yesterday.
Mm.
Series 5, Matt
Yeah.
was, I think, the peak of Matt.
Mm.
He had that kind of both serious and kind of
I
jokey nature, whereas in series 7 it got very just, he's going to make a joke every
mm.
5 minutes. So I'd love to
Yeah.
see if they bring Matt back. I'd love to see Matt, Karen, and Arthur come back, but as like series 5 versions, or like at
Yeah.
least the kind of area between series 5 and 6.
Yeah, I do quite like Series 6, especially if we're going from like the girl who waited and the God complex. Because I feel like
Yeah,
Series 6 is stronger than people give it credit for, in my opinion. I think it's got
yeah.
some
Girl Who Waited,
mm,
God Complex are
mm.
great
I
stories.
mean from beginning to
Um,
near the end,
Impossible
it's
Astronaut Day of the Moon.
the Doctor's
Yeah.
Wife, what else?
I
I quite
quite
like
like
it.
Night Terrors.
Oh yeah, Night Terrors, I quite
I
like it as
I
well.
think Night Terrors is probably the maybe the best Gator story.
Hmm. Yeah, I quite like Gators' stories. I don't know really what the best one is. I love The
It's
Unquiet
probably
Dead.
up there with it's probably up there with the Unquiet Dead for me.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, and I love Empress of Mars actually. I feel like
Yes.
that's a nice one. And for Series 7, Cold War isn't as bad as, well, I wouldn't say bad. It's
Yeah.
just it's a nice step up, I'd say, for Series
Yeah.
7B because I quite like Series 7A to an extent, but Series 7B I
Yeah.
feel like Cold War is probably one of the best ones. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'd love Matt to come back. I mean, if I had to pick an obscure Doctor to ever come back, it'd be Doctor Moon, because I'm just looking at the autograph
Oh
over
yeah.
there. But imagine if they were to like make a story that was centered around one of like near the end of the show, hypothetically, but not actually deem it the end of the show, just hint to it, the Doctor being at the end of his life, kind of similar to the Curator, but bring back Colin Salmon and just for an episode, I feel like that'd be really cool. You
Yeah.
know,
No,
just
that'd be fun.
or an
He's a good actor.
unspecified
He's a
Doctor
great
from the
actor.
future.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And of course we got the centenary first, naturally. Um,
Yes.
I would love it because of course we've got the 60th, which I'm sure will celebrate all of the show. But the way I
Yeah.
see it from what's been leaked so far, it seems like the 60th is celebrating New Who, the centenary is celebrating Classic Who, and I quite like that kind of format, and especially if they both
Yeah.
lead into each other. It's kind of a way of celebrating all of the show, but not. It's not like primarily kind of focusing on one or the other. It's treating it as one thing but splitting it up in a
Yeah.
way. Yeah. What's your kind of hopes for the centenary?
Um, See, this is another thing I was talking about with people the other day. I have currently no real hype level for the centenary.
That's fair. I mean,
I'm gonna watch it when it comes out because
mm,
it's new Doctor Who, but it's kind of been this weird kind of era of the show where the marketing is so abysmal that I lose all interest in it before the episode comes out.
I get what you're saying. I mean,
But the fact is that we have had no trailer.
mm,
We don't even have the release date yet, and we're pretty much a month away out from release, maybe less.
mm.
Um,
I mean, they had Doctor Who magazine. I quite enjoyed that. With all the
yeah.
new pictures. I'm hyped to see Sophie Aldred and Janet Fielding and
Oh yes,
the
yes. I listened to that
regeneration.
Tenth
And
Doctor box set the other day, and I love
I'm yet to
Sophie's
listen to it.
incredible.
Mm, I'm yet to listen to it. I've got to get around to it because it sounds
It's
incredible from what I've heard. It
yeah,
sounds like a bundle of
yeah,
joy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it all. It's just a waiting game really, and it's kind of it's been a
yeah,
long wait to the point in which I'm not. I'll probably be hyped like a week prior or 2 weeks prior
yeah.
to the
When
episode.
the trailer drops, I'll get incredibly more hyped.
Mm. But at the moment,
But
it's kind of like a drought in a way. We've had the
yeah,
magazine that's given
currently it
us
doesn't
lots of.
even feel like there's an episode about to come out.
We've had the magazine. It's given us a lot of information. It's just
Yeah,
it still feels like we're in the middle, and I feel like that's the same
yeah,
with quite a lot of episodes. It's just usually we have a trailer and stuff, but you know, I yeah, it's fair. I do look forward to seeing what else is in store because all they've
yeah.
revealed so far, I can't imagine what more they can add to that.
Oh yeah. Sasha Dewan is incredible. So
Mm,
I'm purely, if I have any hype level currently, it's purely for him.
mm,
Um, I love him. Kiwi only exists because I watched Spyfall Part when Spyfall Part One came out.
mm,
I finished the episode and I was like, that was really fun. That was really cool. I'm interested in the show again. And so then I started writing Kiwi. So he only exists because
oh wow.
of Spyfall Part One and the whole Sasha Dewan kind of thing that made me really kind of
Mm,
interested in the show again because we'd
yeah.
had that year where we had nothing.
Mm, yeah.
So it was very much I watched that and I went, cool, I want to start writing. So
That's brilliant.
more Sasha Dewan is always welcome.
Yeah, yeah. I look forward to him as the master again. I didn't really don't know why, but in the past I didn't really rate his performances. Not his performances itself, but just how the master was written until recently. Not even recently, like I don't know why, but this year and even bits of last year, I just thought he's a great master. He's brilliant. His performances
Yeah,
are brilliant, and I think he's written well enough, and he has great chemistry with Jodie, and I look forward to
yeah.
seeing what's next for him, especially in Big Finish. That's going to be insane. I can't
Oh
believe they're
yeah, no,
doing. Yeah.
that's incredible. One of my favorite Big Finish ranges is the War Master. So like,
Oh, it's
and I
one of the
really enjoy
best.
Missy. So like, any master thing. Like I write, I've written all that master stuff for Connor. So like,
Mm.
I
I
love
mean,
the master. Give me more
talking
master.
of your stuff for Connor, what's it been like writing for Connor? What's your kind of creative process when writing for Connor compared to writing for yourself?
So it's really kind of the same process. I kind of I'm always pitching things to Connor as the issue.
Mm.
Um and so about every week I will send Connor a message going, can I write this? Um
I mean, do you manage to keep up with all of your pitches or do some lay by the wayside or
no, I think all of them so far. I have a list on my computer of how many scripts I'm supposed to I've got to write for Connor
mm.
and how versus how many I've actually written. So I've pitched to him 61 in total.
Jesus Christ.
And I
Wow.
have written up to 35.
Wow. That is really impressive.
And as of right now, only five are released.
Mhm. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's going to be
Yeah, there's a
years
lot
upon
more from me.
years until
Yeah, I've
your
written,
stuff's released.
I think I've only written up to the beginning of 2024. So
Oh,
most of that's just for next year.
it's gonna be a busy year for you then, with the amount
It
of
is.
releases. Like, it's gonna be like on
And then
Discord and
sometimes I just
people
write
like,
something random and send it to him. Like I adapted an entire comic book the other day and then
wow.
just sent it off to him, and he was like, "Okay, thank you." So I
Um,
don't even know when that's coming out, but he has it.
yeah, he has it, and I'm sure it will come out soon or later next year
Yeah.
or whenever it'll be. Yeah, I love that way of kind of writing in that sort of creative process where you can just, you know, pitch anything and then just write it. I think
Yeah.
that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. I mean, do you ever face any burnout or writer's block while writing, and what?
Yeah.
Mm,
Sometimes yeah, no, I got into a really bad spell last year.
mm,
There was a few months I couldn't write anything. I have
yeah.
yet to hit that this year. Touch wood. But yeah, no, it's very rare for me not to be able not to not write things.
Mm,
Um, Connor, I have a reputation with Connor to message him and go, I'm starting on a script, and then he just kind of prepares because within the next few hours he's going to get the full script.
yeah.
Because I write really fast,
Mm,
so he normally prepares. He normally he knows now to prepare. Um, so when
mm,
I say I'm going to start writing a script, it's not like it's going to take months to get to someone.
yeah.
Um, unless I just forget about it halfway through. Um, but yeah, so it's very much he's great. He's great to work with. I love Connor,
Oh yeah,
and he kind
he's
of
brilliant.
yeah, and he kind of just kind of lets you go off and do what you need to do.
Mm,
And every now and again, he'll give he gives me like restrictions every now and again. Like I asked him about a character the other day. I was pitching something, and I went, "Oh, can I use that?" And he just went, "No."
that's
I
fair.
went, "Okay,"
That's completely fair.
and we just moved on. Yeah,
Mm. But yeah, I think I've had Connor on the show as well, and naturally we all talk in our Discord calls and everything like that, and Zoom calls, and it's brilliant to work with all of you. Really, I mean, I love
yeah,
working with all that group and you and Connor and everyone else in that sort of bubble. I love working with all of you guys. It's really, and it's inspiring to talk to you all as well. I think
yeah,
because all of you have your different creative processes. Obviously, I don't really schedule my work as much, and obviously, I've faced a burnout during this year as well. It's nice to hear that other people have been through it, and working with you, Connor, Dom, Dan, anyone in that group, Aiden, everyone and anyone in that group. It's been a brilliant experience, and I look forward to working for much longer. You know, just
yeah.
the future.
The
It's gonna be
Discord
great.
group is great.
Mm.
It's cool to have like a small little community where kind of everyone's trying to do the same stuff.
Yeah,
So we can all kind
it's
of
similar
do it together.
mindset.
I think that's really cool. Yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons I started the show. I mean, Gary Russell the other day asked me why I started this and why I do this, and it's primarily to have fun. I think that's the main thing with anything,
yeah,
creative especially, is just to have fun. With what you
yeah,
do, whether you're paid to do it or are doing it on a fan capacity. I feel like, but at the same time, it's great to talk to people with a similar mindset. It's great to talk to people who have of course, this show is for anyone and everyone, but even then, it's the
yeah,
common interest is Doctor Who. It's lovely to talk to everyone on this show, uh, and I love bringing creatives on, to just talk. It's brilliant.
yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, wow, that's so many releases for Connor though. Jesus Christ, there's so many.
yeah. No, there's a lot.
Yeah,
There's a lot, and I know there's at least three more this
mm,
year.
yeah,
Three, four,
because he loves to space them out a bit, uh, in his schedule,
three.
from what he said in
Yeah,
the podcast.
and you'll hear about one beginning of next month.
Mm, yeah.
Um, Something I've written for has already been announced.
Mm.
But we talk more about it on the podcast that Connor does. So, and then there's a couple other things this year,
Mm,
and then next year, literally from the first week of next year,
yeah,
things blow up.
and talking of going back to Kiwi, and of course you've got all those volumes with blonde. But are there any other, of course, without spoiling anything for future or anything.
Yeah.
But if you were to team up with any other fan doctor, what fan doctor would you kind of choose, and which official doctor as well? Actually, fan
Um,
official.
I'd love to do anything with Crystal Moore. I think
Mm.
they're I think they're phenomenal.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um, her and Miles Taylor, I think, are like the kind of top-notch ones that are kind of off to the side. Like they don't really
yeah.
interact with the whole kind of community, but they're so good, and I love the both of
Mm.
them. And I have spoken to the both of them before.
Mm.
And they are both incredible. And
Yeah.
so I'd love to do anything with either of them.
Mm.
There was a period last year when I found Miles' stuff and I just binged all three
And
seasons.
Miles is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I'm gonna get him on this show sometime as well.
Oh,
No, I
he's so fun.
it's
He's
it's
so entertaining.
it's just brilliant. I mean, I've got lines from both Crystal and Miles for Endgame as well,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun getting. Just talking to them and properly introducing myself. And since then, Miles appeared in that Doctor in Distress cover, which and
Oh yeah.
he's appeared in quite a few things on my channel, and it's really nice working with them. I hope to get them both on this show. Really, I have to reach out to Doctor Velocity and that team to see if I can get them on the show.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. They've done some
Yeah.
excellent stuff recently with a few
They've done some
boglins and
incredible
such.
things, yeah. The
Yeah,
Boglins was great. I loved the I love was it the
there was this.
Vashta one? I love the Vashta one.
Yeah, and there was the silence as well.
The
Uh,
Silence one's really good. The
yeah.
Tron one was really fun. I
Oh yeah, I
really
love
love
the
the
Tron
Tron
one.
one.
Mm,
I love it when you got. I love like meshing Doctor Who with a different genre. So I
mm.
think that was just really cool.
Yeah, I think it really works, and it's just a fantastic series, really.
Yeah,
And really good choices in what
yeah,
Doctor's Kiwi would work with. I feel like uh it'd be interesting to have Kiwi with Velocity actually, because Velocity is quite a happy-go-lucky, kind of. It's
yeah,
in a way, it's kind of harkening back to what I said about Doctors that don't exactly mesh in terms of character, but can create an interesting story.
yeah,
Like your Doctor covers quite serious issues, and while Doctor Velocity, it's more. I guess it has some serious moments, but it's very fun. I love Velocity for its fun
yeah,
attitude, bright colors. It'd be
yeah.
interesting to see
Doctor Who
how.
Velocity kind of brings the fun back into Doctor Who. I think.
Mm, I feel like it'd be
Um,
it'd be really interesting to see if your Doctors team up and
yeah.
how that would work. But yeah. What other fan Doctors and movies do you kind of take an interest in? Because it's not something I really ask. Because of course I've got other fan Doctor actors and fan Doctor producers and on the show and just fan producers in general, but I don't really ask what they kind of watch and what they inspired by in the community. I feel like that'd be a good question.
So since I was about 10, I've been watching Nathan.
Mm,
Um, Nathan's kind of the big inspiration for doing all of this. I have written things with Nathan in
mm,
them. So that's been kind of a dream come true. Um, I used to sit in my nan's spare bedroom on her like box computer when
mm,
I was like 6 and watch his old fan films
yeah,
when I was like 12, and it was great. Um, it was really entertaining, and I think he's such a nice guy. I've never
mm,
spoken to him, but he just seems like such a nice guy.
yeah,
Um, that kind of Nathan's always the top of my list.
mm,
Um, like Connor and I and a lot of the others have talked about how with fan doctors you don't really kind of make a favorites list.
yeah,
But you do always kind of have that one that you're like, that's the one that kind of got me into watching fan films. And for me, it's always Nathan. It's always going to be Nathan.
yeah,
Northern is just like Northern's one of my doctors. It's Northern and like 10, I
mm,
think, because those are the two that I really grew up with.
yeah.
Um, and then everything Overton, so like
Oh yeah,
Cravat, Irish, Young.
yeah, yeah.
I
All of them.
love
They're all
Dom
brilliant.
is great. I love Dom.
Purple's definitely my
Yeah.
kind of fan doctor. I feel like because I wasn't really into fan doctors when I was a kid, as much as I should have been really, because it was thriving back then, but you know, thriving in a way that would have really interested me as a kid. But I mostly stuck to like figure adventures and there was the odd fan doctor, but also like content like the Ten Doctors by Babel Color stood out to me as a kid and stuff like that. Um, oh, my internet connection is once again unstable. You should be back in a minute on my screen. I can't hear you at the moment, but I'll keep. Oh, you're back. You froze on my screen for a second there.
Here we go.
There we go. Uh, yeah, sorry, my internet connection is quite unstable. But yeah, I was just saying how I watched a lot of figure adventures and stuff like that when I was a kid, rather than fan
Oh,
doctors.
yeah.
And like
Figure
the
adventures were like my jam.
and one that I mentioned quite a lot on this channel as one of my key inspirations when it comes to fan content was the Ten Doctors by Biblicolor, which was
Oh, yes.
that was a huge like it was almost felt real to me as a kid, like that's something that I could fit into the actual show itself, especially with the Timeless Doctors coming
Yeah.
up, which I really look forward to. But then I only really got into fan doctors last year, year prior, during lockdown.
Yeah.
And I really looked properly into them for Endgame. And it really that's kind of where I felt, oh wow, this is an incredible genre of fan content. This is something I haven't really given too much of a chance before. I've watched it, I've given them a watch, but I haven't really given them too much thought until Endgame came along. And then suddenly I'm
Yeah.
working I felt I want to work with all these fandoms. They are all incredible. And then I met a lot of them. I met Dom first, and I talked to all of
Yeah.
you guys.
Dom's
And
great.
yeah, it's just genuinely brilliant people in the community playing the Doctor. And then here I am playing
Yeah.
my own fan Doctor and stuff, and doing my own thing, and watching and working with other people doing their own thing. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that kind of skyrocket with the yeah, I got it too. Like
Mm,
you start off and you're just like watching them,
mm.
and to be now like working with everyone is kind of surreal.
Completely surreal.
Like I
Yeah.
used to watch Dan when I was younger, and like I watched Dan's wedding on a Zoom call, and that was just weird. That was weird but
Mm,
lovely.
yeah.
Um, like I watched Dom's content for so long. I watched Dom's content to like for cosplays and stuff, and now I sit on Zoom calls with Dom
Mhm.
and like James and
Mm.
Connor and all of them, and it's just the surreal thing.
Yeah, I can only echo those sentiments really. I'm very much the same. Of course, I didn't really grow up with them during my childhood, but during my teenage years, I watched them a bit, and it kind of spiked recently. Well, not even recently, 2 years, year ago. And now to be working with them is just surreal, and just to know them and go around conventions with Dom and such. Um, and be on a Comic Con panel with Dom even. It was all very surreal and still is.
Yeah.
Uh, as I said, they're all fantastic people. And yeah, what out of curiosity, because of course you've mentioned audio work for Kiwi, but is there any other medium you'd like to take Kiwi in future?
I did think um originally everything was going to be visual for Kiwi.
Mm,
And we have filmed things in visual for Kiwi. But it just didn't pan around. It was harder than I expected it to be. And
yeah.
I already expected it to be hard. But there was, you know, it's scheduling and you've got locations and costumes and special effects and everything. And it was to the point where yeah, like I said, I've been it's Spyfall Part One was when I started writing this.
Mm,
And in January 1st, would have been 3 years since Spyfall Part One.
Christ. Mm,
So it was like a, you know, it's been going on for 3 years, and some of my actors have been cast for 3 years.
mm,
Like Alex, who plays the companion Charlie, has been cast since I think about February of that year.
yeah.
And so I was like, I need to start getting the content out and start to do it. So I shifted
Mm,
over to audio
that makes sense.
for
That makes
Kiwi,
complete sense.
but I'd love to still do visual. Currently, if everything is audio, the series 5 is going to be visual. It's
Mm.
no way I'm changing series 5.
Yeah.
It's because
Yeah.
that's the big one. That's the thing I've got in my mind. I know shots already. I know everything. So if anything, seasons 1 through 4 can be audio, and that's fine with me. And that means I can save up enough money to
Mm.
then go and make series 5, because
Yeah.
series 5 is going to be
And
the
it sounds like a plan.
is already what I plan to be the last of Kiwi. So it's going
Ah,
to be the big one.
that makes sense. It
I
makes
already know
complete
where he
sense.
begins and where he ends, and so I was like, I want that to be
I think
the
that's
big
the same
one.
with most fan doctors because I know where Techno's gonna end. And I know quite a few
Yeah,
other fan doctors and their actors know when their character is coming to an end. I mean, I know certain actors have deadlines now, for when they're just gonna stop and move on with their
yeah,
lives. I think that's brilliant. I feel like
yeah,
that's a great way of doing things. Um, of course, you've got so much of Kiwi and Blonde coming out as well. So,
yes.
from here, from this viewpoint of the present now, what do you think it would be like saying goodbye to Kiwi? Because when it eventually, because every fan doctor and every doctor has their ending, has their time. What do you think it would be like
Yeah.
now, like looking from this present perspective?
Well, it's always going to be incredibly hard, and
Mm,
um, I've built up, I've worked so hard on Kiwi
yeah.
that when he does end, it's going to be really sad. But
Mm,
I already have plans to get George over
mm,
for his final one. I already
yeah.
plan for George to be here, and I've already talked to Connor about being here. Um, that's years away. That's
Mm,
years away. But yeah. So it's I've already got it all. I've got the entire final episode already planned out, and
mm,
I've even got kind of his last few scenes kind of written as like a kind of novel kind
yeah.
of way of doing it. So I haven't got the script, but I've got like a novel version of it.
Makes
And
sense.
I
Yeah.
wrote that the other day, and I know
Mm,
I know what music I want. I know kind of everything.
yeah.
So it's gonna be hard, but we've got what that's it's not for that's season 5,
Yeah.
and
Still a while to go.
I've
Yeah.
got it all scheduled out, so I know the exact date I want him to go,
Ah.
and that's at least 8 years. Not eight. That's at least about 6 years away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's fair. Yeah, and moving on to a different topic, of course. Because you live in New Zealand, what's it kind of like being a
yes,
Doctor Who fan over in New Zealand? Because naturally, there's a lot of differences to being a Doctor Who fan in New Zealand compared
yeah,
to where I am. Mm,
we're a lot calmer over here. We don't have as much Doctor Who stuff going on.
mm,
Um, we have a couple. We have a few guys around who make Daleks, and um, we have Rochelle and Paul Scones up in Auckland. They run a kind of nerd shop called Retrospace, and they're very into Doctor Who. Paul's written
mm,
like a book on the comic history. I think he's written a whole book, a couple books on that. Um, and yeah, and then we have the odd conventions, and every now and again
yeah.
we'll get an actor. Back in 2013, I think was the big one. We had
Mm,
an entire just Doctor Who convention, which was like unheard of.
mm,
Um, but yeah, it's very. There's not a lot of real. You kind of come across people in over here who know what the show is,
mm,
but it's not as big a sensation as I'd expect it is over there.
yeah. 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 I can imagine it's yeah. It's certainly obviously everyone here kind of knows Doctor Who. Everyone you really talk to could at least knows about the show. I imagine that's similar
Yeah,
there, but also I imagine like the DVDs are different now, like region locked and stuff, and stuff like that. Now, is it difficult? Is it more difficult to get Doctor Who like merchandise and such? Because you've got a bit behind there, but from what I've heard from people, it's a bit more difficult to get.
It's a
You know.
bit more difficult. I happened across Spearhead in Space on Blu-ray the other week.
Mm,
But yeah, we don't get everything. We
mm,
don't get everything, and if we do, we get it late. So I
yeah.
think um see with the like the Barnes and Noble sets, I don't know when we're getting the next wave, which is
Mm.
annoying because I want that Paul McGann wave. But the action figures are the real thing that it's really hard to get over here.
Yeah.
But the DVDs, there is one store in my current in my town
Mm.
that sells DVDs. We
Yeah.
only have one, and they're normally very good. Like I walked in there, I think the other day, and they have all of so they have like Evil of the Daleks, they had like Web of Fear,
Mm.
Galaxy 4. I'm not sure about Abominable Snowman. I haven't gone in since that's been released.
Yeah.
Um, but like they're quite good at getting everything in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not like we don't have sections for it. It's kind of in like the UK shows
Mm.
section of the store.
That makes sense.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and the collector's sets, I think I see them every now and again,
Mm.
and they're always like $90, so I don't buy them.
That's completely.
Um,
Yeah.
I will buy them if they release season 12 or 13.
That's fair. Yeah.
So those are my seasons. Um,
And
but yeah, it's
talking.
it's it's much less over here. We don't
Yeah. I
have
mean,
a lot.
kind of talking about your seasons. I mean, what seasons were you introduced in? Like, how did you get introduced to the show?
I woke up. I was staying at my nan's, and I woke up because I couldn't. I didn't even wake up. I just couldn't go to sleep. I was about 6, and so I went onto the lounge to do what every 6-year-old does and
Mm.
inform my nan that I couldn't sleep. Like
Mm.
she could do anything about that. Um, and her partner were sitting on the couch watching Doctor Who. It was his
Mm.
show. He loved Doctor Who. So I sat down, and so she didn't really want to leave because she kind of liked it as well. So
Mm.
she just told me to sit down on the couch, and so on the couch. It was like maybe 9 o'clock at night or something,
Mm.
and all I can remember was the logo,
Mm.
the Slovene, and one shot of Eccleston's face. And I remember I really liked it. And so then I think it was Christmas that year. My mum got me the series 2 box set, and it's still the one I have. So she got me that for Christmas
Mm. Oh, that's
of
lovely.
2006. And I remember on Christmas Day we just sat there and we watched the entire season. She didn't have a choice. And I remember halfway through Doomsday we had a power cut.
Oh,
So it was
oh,
like a shot. I think it was 10 in the Cybermen, and then all the power in the house went out, and I was mad. And
mm.
I kept turning to mum, going, "But what if we like missed the rest of it?" Because as a 6-year-old, I didn't understand what DVDs were.
Yeah.
Um, and the power came back on, and I got to finish it. And yeah, and that was kind of where it really happened. And for a while there, it was just modern. It was just the
Mm.
modern stuff, and then um there was a guy I knew, there's a kid I knew at school called Ethan,
Mm.
um, who we were friends for a while, and then that kind of went downhill. But he liked Doctor Who as well, and so
Mm.
I think really got me. He really showed me the classic stuff. I think the first one I might have seen was Genesis, which is a good
Good
start.
start. Good start indeed.
It's he had a few of the DVDs, and so it was Genesis. Then I watched Terror of the Vervoids. I watched some of the, I think, Sontaran Experiment, um, Terror of the Zygon, stuff like that. And
Mm.
then it kind of went from there. And then my mum got married for a couple of years there, and he was British, so he kind of knew. So he showed me Doctor Who. I got season 4, I got series 4 before anyone in New Zealand did, because that was still when we were like about a month behind in release.
Yeah.
so it would come out, and then like a month or two, it would come out for us. And so his parents came over at one point, and they brought me all DVDs for Series 4, so I got to see all of it before anyone else.
Nice, nice.
And then it's just kind of skyrocketed from there. And then I went to London with with my mum and my ex stepdad, and yeah, that's kind
Hmm.
of just yeah, it's all been
Well,
trying to catch up. I
yeah,
still haven't seen every classic, but I've got them all
that's
somewhere.
brilliant. That's a brilliant start to the show. I mean, I kind of started with the Centauran Experiment and a few others. Five Doctors, Three Doctors were big starts. Uh, a few of the less well-regarded ones like Time Flight, Warriors of the Deep, Arc of Infinity, all of them were ones I actually started with kind of unintentionally, not knowing.
Yeah,
But it was kind of, it kind of desensitized myself to the kind of terrible effects of some of the less budgeted ones. Because to a kid, that stuff was awesome, no matter how it looked. I mean, someone karate kicking a merca, I'm all for that. And it kind of,
yeah,
it helped kind of adjust the classic Who, starting with the not really well liked. So it was I feel like even though they're not well regarded episodes, they were good starts in my opinion. Um and I was also obsessed with the TV movie at some point. Just having the TV movie was
I
an
love
obsession
the
because
TV movie.
as a kid, I kind of, and even as now, kind of fixated on like the obscurities, the kind of
Yeah.
oddities within Doctor Who, and that very much continued on to now. So like having the TV movie, the Cushing films, all of them, I was just obsessed
Oh
with
yeah.
finding them all, and it was yeah, it
Yeah.
was brilliant. I feel like that definitely inspired Dark Days and what I'm doing now. That's for sure. Yeah, the future for the show is looking bright. The future for Kiwi is looking bright. I really look forward to seeing Kiwi stuff. Um, Kiwi and
Yeah.
Bond and
I'm editing his first one at the moment,
oh,
so
nice.
he'll be out soon.
Hmm.
23rd of November is when I aim
Ah,
for the first one. We have
of
two this
course.
year. We have one on the 23rd of November, and then have one on on Christmas.
Ah, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Dates there to release episodes. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like unless there's anything else really, I don't really know how to end it usually, or I mean, what else? What else can I talk about? Because uh, what I gotta think about something. Because I had one more question to ask. My brain just often runs away with me with these. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Uh, I usually edit out these segments when my brain runs away. It's usually towards the end, but I think I'll keep this in because meh, it's what happens. Um, if there was any companion for your doctor to meet, from the show, uh, what companion would Kiwi meet and get along with? That's my final
I'd
question.
love to meet Joe. I'd love to
Mm,
meet Joe at any point. I
yes,
think Katie Manning is incredible. Ace is a big one.
that'd be
I'd love to
wicked.
meet Ace. I think they're the two most likely actors to do something like this.
Yeah.
So I think they're the two highest kind of picks. But also like I think I talked to Connor once. Connor and I joked about once getting trying to hunt down Freema Edgerman.
Mm,
Just because I think Martha would be great. And
mm.
yeah, we were looking at Freema Edgerman, and I was like, I think she'd be really expensive. And Connor was like, oh, there's no price too high for Freema Edgerman. And we looked, and to book her was about $1,400. And Connor was like, there is a price too big for Freema Edgerman, and that's that. That's it now.
Well, if you're
Um,
watching Freema, make sure to check out the Kiwi Doctor
yeah,
content and stuff and
yeah.
see if
Freema
you'd be
hit me
down
up.
for it.
We'll do something.
Mm.
um, yeah, Freema. I'd love to just Amy and Rory, or Rory.
Mm.
I love Rory. Rory's my boy. Um,
But yeah, if there's anything you want to promote, of course, I'll put it in the description if you want to mention it now. And yeah.
um, yeah. I mean, Kiwi comes out 23rd of November.
Mm.
Is the big one.
Yeah.
I now co-host the podcast, the Overton Audios podcast
Ah,
with Connor.
yes, that's what I was going to ask you about. What's
So
it like co-hosting
yeah.
that podcast? And what's
It's
kind of
great. It's really fun. We recorded next month's one already. That one's all
mm,
done. There's a decent amount of subjects we talk about. Um, it's already been announced the next Crimson Hunter volume.
mm,
And Chelsea's great. Chelsea's amazing. So we love more of Chelsea.
that's
And
for
that
sure.
one's got
Yeah,
James in it as well, and that one's got
yeah.
Luke Lane as Devlin and stuff, and so that's really fun. That's a
Mm,
really fun volume. And then another thing that Connor talks with some people about in that one that hasn't been announced yet, but it will be
ah,
talked about in that podcast. So that's really exciting.
mhm, yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's a lot more of me playing up in Overton audios all of a
Mm.
sudden.
And I really look forward to the future of the podcast. It's a great podcast. I really enjoy listening to
It's
it
a
whenever
really
I get
fun
the chance.
podcast.
Yeah, it's great
Yeah,
fun, and
it's a really cool podcast.
yeah, I think more people should check it out. And Overton Audios in
Yeah.
general deserves way more people checking it out. It's
Oh yeah,
just
Connor is a genius. I
the
love
im-
Connor.
the sheer amount of
I
work
love Connor with all my
that
being.
Connor and everyone puts into that channel, especially Connor, of course, because he owns it. But every writer, every producer, every actor,
Yeah,
it all comes together just brilliantly. It's a
yeah.
perfect channel, worth
Like
checking
I
out.
messaged Connor after, I think it was Conquest of the Daleks was
Mm,
one of the Cravat Doctor and the Rani stories, and I messaged him and I was just like, "This is Big Finish level."
mm,
It was so good. Um, he is incredible.
he sure is.
Yeah, I don't think I in the fan community, I think Connor deserves a lot more views and a lot more love because Connor's such a lovely guy.
Yeah. That's a
And
nice note to end it on,
yeah,
I suppose. It's been a
yeah,
pleasure having you on as a guest. It's always lovely talking to you, Eamon, and
yeah.
genuinely
It's been
it's really
a
been a
pleasure
pleasure.
being on.
Yeah, it's been very nice talking to you,
Yeah,
very nice talking about all this, and yeah, very sure I'll talk again soon. It's thanks for watching everyone. Make sure to
yeah,
subscribe, leave a
definitely.
like, check out all of Eamon's stuff in the description, Overton Audios. And yeah, thanks for watching everyone. Thank you for coming on, Eamon, and yeah, bye bye everyone. Bye
No problem.
bye.
Bye bye.